Hello, welcome back to another video. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. We are doing a completely different video to the usual this week because there is nothing to talk about, but also because this is a bit of fun. International break is nearly over, and why not? Why the hell not? Tier list. We've done a tier list before, ranking a 92 on a stream from months ago. Today we are doing a football pundit tier list. Make sure to like the video and make sure to subscribe if you are new. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers as soon as possible. So if you are new to the channel, please subscribe. Um, Also leave your rankings in the comments, like your top three pundits, your bottom three pundits. But let's get straight into it on tier list maker. We're gonna do our thing. Obviously, the tiers are best, good, bang average, mute the TV, and worst. So that's pretty self-explanatory. And these are probably the best custom format that I can find with all the pundits in. There was some that didn't even have both Neville and Carragher. So there's also that as well. Like so because some of the lists were a bit out of date. There's only one of them where I don't know who they are, but we'll get into that in a minute. Let's start with the furthest on the left, Micah Richards. Micah Richards. Obviously well known for his laugh and well known for his I forgot what the company's called in America, but you see the clips in America all the time when they do the Champions League with Thierry Henry and Jamie Carragher. Also, he's on Sky quite a lot. He does the podcast with Gary Lineker and Alan Shearer. He's on Match of the Day sometimes. He's everywhere. He's everywhere, but I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining at all. I think, uh, yeah, a couple of times I don't agree with him. I mean, if you look at all these pundits, I don't agree with them most of the time, to be honest, but there's never going to be a time you agree with everything a pundit says. However, I don't. I think because he's so known for his laugh, he gets a little bit underrated in terms of the analysis that he can give. I'm not saying it's like the best analysis out of all the pundits, but I'm saying like it's not like he's just here for the vibes and that's it. I think Micah Richards is a bit more than that, in my opinion. Uh, so I'm not really complaining. I'm tempted to put him top tier because, like, especially when you look on TV, and TV can be fucking boring, especially with the whole punditry stuff. But when it comes to like watching TV as well, you want to be entertained as well. Like you want to balance a football like analysis and entertainment, which is what I think Sky Sports do well when they get the best on when they get the best pundits on for the best games, and also why the podcast with Gary Lineker and Alan Shearer do so well as well, because the stories and the chemistry, the way they bounce off each other, and we've already seen that before the podcast when they used to do the BBC top tens. I don't know whether they still do them, but I'm gonna put him. I know it's controversial. I'm putting him at top tier. I'm putting him top tier, low key. Like the guy is sick, man. He creates the vibe throughout the whole room, and his relationship helps with the next pundit that we're going to talk about, Roy Keane. Now, obviously, Roy Keane could come off very miserable, but he comes off very honest in his takes. Obviously, when we talk about just general football takes as well, he's obviously just as biased as anyone else as well when it comes to not even Man United necessarily, but it's mainly when it comes to his mates in the media. Well, not his mates in the media, but his mates when he's judging his mates. And he's even said it himself that he's going to be a bit nicer because he knows, for example, in the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era, he's very nice to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But then again, I will say this is that as much as they will put the pressure to judge their mates, and yes, they should have criticized their mates a lot more, they don't really criticize managers. Pundits don't really criticize managers, so which is kind of a problem in itself, but we'll talk about that maybe for another time. But going back to Roy Keane, I think his analysis is really good as well. Just talking about when he when he has the ability to talk about someone that maybe has no emotional connection towards. He's very good at analyzing their game. I remember a couple of years ago him analyzing how good Bruno Guimaraes is as an all-round midfielder, talking from a midfielder's perspective as well. I do like that sense of punditry when there's a pundit on there that is talking about, you know, and going into detail in the analysis of the position that they played with the player of the current day. And that's what Roy Keane did with Guimaraes. Um, I in general just very entertaining. The guy does not like goalkeepers. Does not like David De Gea at all. Very entertaining, very box office, and like if you was to pick your go-to pundit studio combination, he's up there. He's so up there. Like, and obviously the podcast. Like, we're glad he's on a podcast as well because he's very entertaining. And again, it's the characters of the way they bounce off each other and stuff like that as well. But yeah, so big up to Roy Keane. I'm also going to put him in the best tier as well. Next is someone that Roy Keane doesn't like is Alan Shearer. Roy Keane to this day still doesn't like Alan Shearer after all them years. But Alan Shearer, obviously known for being on Match of the Day for a long time, all-time top Premier League goal scorer. Also, as well, has the podcast with Gary Lineker and Micah Richards. Um, it's very hard to judge this one because obviously he's been doing it for a very long time, so you've got to put some respect on his name. I think he has good analysis as well. I do actually think he does well to keep as unbiased as possible when it comes to Newcastle. Obviously, he's very like every pundit, pretty much. When there's one of his friends that he needs to judge, he doesn't go harsh on him at all. That's why we had to suffer with the whole David Moyes malarkey when, all his friends in the media were talking about be careful what you wish for and all that. But it's not like he's kept the agenda after that. But I didn't even know he was friends with David Moyes like that. But he explained that in the interview on the Versus Football podcast. Obviously, a podcast that, don't get me wrong, is very entertaining, but go against West Ham fans quite a lot. But overall, with Alan Shearer, you've got to put some respect to this name for doing it for a very long time. Very entertaining as well. His character got a great character. Can have a laugh, which is also important for me when watching TV. But yeah, I think he's not like one of them old pundits that's completely out of touch with football. I think the only real thing I disagree with him was the whole how many games there are. He's like, oh, fuck off, is there that many games? Just get on with it, sort of thing. But yeah, I think the podcast brought out his personality a lot more. I'm gonna put him in good. In good. I don't think he's bang average, but yeah. Alex Scott. Alex Scott. I can't remember the last time I saw her as a pundit, but I do remember punditry. I think you know what it is. Like obviously, there's always a debate with like women in the media and stuff like that. And like you've got the side of people that don't accept any sort of woman as a pundit, and you've got the other people that will just defend any woman because they're a woman as well. You've got both sides, and mainly the negative side of you know going out a woman pundit, etc. We don't actually have like the likes of Jill Scott or Eddie Aluko on this list. I think it's actually quite an old list. I'll be honest. I think this was made like a few years ago, but this was the best list I can find. Um, with Alex Scott, she's gone into more presenting, to be fair. But always, when I watched her as a presenter, for example, and I'm not going to use that as a judgment for this, but when I saw her as a presenter, I thought, you're a better pundit than you're a presenter. You're definitely a better pundit than you're a presenter. I'll say that. Because I think in general, like, she does try to force jokes a bit too much. She's obviously propelled herself to have a great career as well. So fair play to her. I think I wouldn't choose to have her on TV because over a lot of pundits, but I could say that for a lot of people on this list. Because it's been a while since she's been a pundit, I'm gonna put her in bang average to say the least. Nothing against her, just not my thing, really. Not my thing. Jamie Carragher. Jamie Carragher, obviously, been on Sky for a long time. Had an incident where he was taken off Sky for a bit, then came back for that whole thing that happened 2 years ago. Known for his back and forth, Jekyll and Hyde, not even Jekyll and Hyde, him and Gary Neville were like the Phineas and Ferb of fucking football punditry. Also on a podcast with Gary Neville on I don't even know what it's called actually. But I just know on the Overlap channel. I forgot what the podcast is called, but I watch it most weeks. Very entertaining as well. Good analysis, like iconic in the punditry scene. It's good. I always like when him and Gary Neville are together. I do like the Monday Night Footballs where he goes into analysis of most teams as well. Do I agree with him all the time? No, but obviously when it comes to Liverpool, I think yeah, obviously a bit like with Gary Neville with Man United. We'll come on to Gary Neville soon. Jamie Carragher is quite. He's almost like a fan talking when it comes to Liverpool. I think his analysis of every other club is quite he did quite well. Do you know what? To be fair, even though even from a biased point of view, like with the whole Moyes thing that happened, still looked at it as very like on a very objective point of view. He was one of the few to do that. Um, so credit to him for that as well. Overall, as well, a bit like what I said about Roy Keane. If you want to choose your best pundit combination, he'd be up there as well. He's obviously a part of that. I think is it NBC? I don't know what it's called. The American company that do the Champions League, the Galazzo thing with Kate Abdo and Michael Richards and them lot. But he's obviously a part of that as well. He's very entertaining and brings out more of his character as well. He's a obviously very entertaining pundit. So I'm gonna put him in best. I'm gonna put him in best because the three that I put in best you want on your TV, in my opinion. The next one is Chris Sutton. Probably the most out of touch pundit there is. Well, he's up there. Constant bad takes. Man, nobody wants him on his TV. Let's be honest. Enough said about that. We don't even need him in mute the TV. We'll put him in worst. He's up there with probably the bottom three. I think this is Emma Hayes. Because I haven't heard of Emma Hayes in a while as a pundit. I can't remember the last time I saw her as a pundit. It was a couple of years ago. But I remember her being all right, but I haven't seen enough, so I'm going to put him bag average. Thierry Henry. Obviously not on my TV enough to judge him fully. He was on Sky quite a lot back in the day. I think someone said this and put it spot. He thinks he's funnier than he actually is, and yeah, true. But if he was available to have on UK TV, I'd have him on UK TV anyway. He's probably got one of the most elite analysis possible when it comes to pundits. Like, I know in coaching it didn't really translate well, and I know he's still trying to be a coach. He resigned from the under-21s in France, but at the same time, you can also look at it as like he's translated it well into his punditry career, where the way he talks about football and games and the small details in football, I think he analyzes it very well. He has a great character as well, obviously part of that Champions League group that we talked about already. So I'm going to put him in best. I would like him on my TV a lot more, but I don't have them American channels there. But it is what it is. Ian Wright, another former Arsenal striker. Ian Wright has been on punditry for a long time. I think he's changed a lot. He's changed a lot ever since he's been sponsored by Arsenal. He's just become a top gooner. And what I mean by that is like he's pretty much become like one of them Arsenal accounts on Twitter where everything is against Arsenal and everything to do with Arsenal, like making excuses and defending and getting angry about it. He does that a lot on the Gary Neville podcast thing. But also is a great character to have a man who can have a laugh at the best times possible. Like, I don't agree with most of his takes, to be honest, but he's a good character. I'm actually tempted. I'm gonna put him in good, yeah, but he was very close to being a bag average. I'm being 100% honest, but it is what it is. JB Redknapp. Fun fact, actually. Let me tell you a quick story. When I'm gonna guess I was like 8 years old. Yeah, it was. It would have been the 11. I think the 11-12 season. I went to Burton. I went to Burton. I think this was before the school year started. But I'm not too sure. Pretty much is when I have a weird memory like this. It was when Everton beat Manchester United under Moyes and Fellaini scored right at the end from a corner. I don't know when that game was, but it was then. Yeah, I went to Burton because I won a competition under like I think the company was called Becco or something like that under the FA to meet Jamie Redknapp. And it was like you got to play football in there as well with kids your age and stuff like that. I was like 8 or something. I've got pictures from it still to this day. There was a YouTube video back in the day and I was on it when I was a kid, but I can't. I've tried to find that video since I can't find it. I think that video probably got taken down. But there was a chance to meet Jamie Redknapp in like 2012, and we got to meet him. I've got a picture of him at the FA Cup in my house. Very nice guy. Well, obviously, I was a kid, so you kind of had to be nice if you was rude to a kid. You kind of looked like an arsehole. Obviously that day was fun as well. Basically, it was like as well. Just a quick thing on the day. If you guys remember watching Soccer AM back in the day, where you kick the ball into the bucket thing. Forget the top corner in the bins. There was like a big bucket, you like a lob it in. They had that as well. So that's a bit of a fun fact. So I met Jamie Redknapp then. So he's the only pundit I've met. I think. I don't. Yeah, I've not. No, I met Joe Cole when I was young. We'll come on to Joe Cole later. But overall, when it comes to his punditry career, obviously, again, he'd been here for a very long time. I some of his takes really confuse me. Half the time, I wonder if he actually watches the teams in detail. Unfortunately, he's on every Saturday, and the reason why I say unfortunately is because I don't get half his takes half the time. But I don't get me wrong, I don't think he's the worst pundit in the world, but it's not great. It's not great. I wouldn't choose to have him on, but I think there's pundits that are worse. Um, and yeah, I think he's slightly out of touch with the game. I think he's better than the two I put in bag average, but I'm still going to put him in bag average. Um, Jermaine Genius. So this is funny because this guy has been getting a bit of controversy recently. But Jermaine Genius, obviously, I don't know really what happened. He probably text some girls in the workplace or some shit. I don't exactly know what happened, but I don't care. As long as it keeps him off my TV, that's fine. Because this guy is one of the worst pundits, one of the worst commentators as well. Obviously, I could put commentary in this, but not all of these people do commentary. Like, for example, if this is based on commentary, I think Alan Shearer would be low down. Carragher will probably stay there. I've not heard the rest on commentary, I don't think. I don't know whether Chris Sale was on commentary. If not, I probably muted the TV. Um, but with Jermaine Genius, again, probably one of the most biased pundits out there. If everyone remembers the iconic, I can't remember whether it was Alan Shearer or Frank Lampard. Uh, Ironically, I said everyone remembers, and I can't remember. But they were all in the studio, and that was when Chelsea beat Tottenham 4-2 in the FA Cup semi-final. Was talking about, oh, Tottenham deserved it, Tottenham dominated, and one of them was like, "Shush, just shush, bro." But probably, I guess I'm being biased myself because he's former Tottenham, but he is one of the most biased pundits out there. I would never choose him to have on TV when it comes to punditry, and I would never choose him to have him as my like the dream commentary duo either. So I'm putting him in worse, but I think he's better than Chris Sutton, but that's not saying much. Joe Cole. Now I could be very biased with this because I think we all love Joe Cole. Um, Obviously with the whole Moyes thing, he was always going to back Moyes and stuff like that over the fans because pundits never go against managers. But I'm not going to base all of this over David Moyes and stuff like that. Um, I will say he is. I want to say this in the most respectful way possible. I don't think he's got it all up there, and that's coming from me. Definitely smarter than me. Don't get me wrong. But I remember the one that lives in my head rent free is calling La Masia, the Barcelona academy, masala, which is a curry. Um, he has those moments, but he is quite funny as well. He is also a good character. He's probably my favorite out of the TNT lot because it's not saying a lot. Don't get me wrong, but uh, it's just mainly because of his character. Because none of them are really good as pundits. I'm going to keep 100% with you. I wouldn't choose to have them as pundits, but if I'm being honest, I'm going to have to put him in mute the TV. But I'm also going to have to move Emma Hayes down because I don't listen to her much. But I might just move her out of the thing. Just because I haven't seen her much on TV, I've thought I can't really put Emma Hayes over Joe Cole. And I can't really rank Emma Hayes just because I ain't really seen her as a pundit. So I'm going to have to put her back down. But then again, do I put Joe Cole over Alex? Does Alex Scott really go after Joe Cole? I'll put Joe Cole here. No one's in mute the TV yet, but we're going to get there. We're going to get there. I've seen a couple already. Gary Neville. Obviously, part of the duo of Carragher and Neville. Them two always argue. It's funny. When you notice when them two argue, by the way, they just get squeakier and squeakier. It is hilarious. Again, a bit like the pundits that I put at the best. I don't agree with him all the time. Probably everything's always seems to be, oh, it's going to be fine at Man United. That's his always thing. Like Carragher made a great point against him last time. He usually has him in arguments, in debates as well. You said like you pretty much said, well, you said it was all the Glazers' fault. The Glazers aren't here anymore. Whose fault is it? Really putting him under pressure. It's like, oh, the manager's fine. Like everything's always just fine. I think he's probably the most biased when it comes to the top pundits, because he's most biased towards English players as well. He wanted to. I remember they were doing keep sell bench or something on the overlap on the Gary Neville podcast thing. And when it came to Man United players, and he was like, "I want to see Harry Maguire under a new ownership." Oh yeah, because the new ownership is making Harry Maguire give the fucking ball away. But very biased towards English players, I think probably the most. But that's also because it's all political when you have a YouTube channel where you interview the players. The players aren't going to want to do interviews with you if you criticize them, and they for some reason pundits don't like to criticize enough, which is a bit different to how the Dutch media, the Spanish media are like, which they're a bit more savage with it. Same with the French media, I think, as well. French media is always entertaining, but with Gary Neville, it's obviously for me still it's one of the pundits you want on Sky Sports, even if it's not on Man United games. Like the four that I want on Sky Sports is Michael Richards, Roy Keane, Jamie Carragher, and Gary Neville. And for that reason, I'm putting him top 5. He's not a better pundit than Henri. I don't even know who. This is not in order, by the way, but yeah, he's not a better pundit than Henri. He's probably the worst out of the 5. Well, actually, no, technically, he's technically above Michael Richards. I just like Michael Richards as a character, but and listen, I think Gary Neville at times can be very disrespected, probably too disrespected at times. Um, I think he's very unsteady. I think he plays down his career too much. I will say that as well. Owen Hargreaves, whatever. Probably the weirdest accent out of the lot. What is it? A combination of Canadian and English. Isn't he part? I want to say he's part Mexican as well, but I'm not too sure. I don't know where I've got that from. Oh no, it's Welsh, isn't it? I don't know where I got Mexican from, but he's just there, isn't it? He's just there. Like he doesn't say anything too mad. He doesn't say anything too stupid. Doesn't say anything that makes anything stand out. And for that reason, you go and bang average. Oh man, Michael Owen, Mister Well Done. He's 13. If you know, you know. I don't know why this guy has a ref watch show. I've not watched it. I don't know what kind of analysis or what kind of input he's going to have in that. Pretty much, he does the most obvious statements possible, like, "Oh, they're going to score if they don't put it in the back of the net," stuff like that. That's just an example, like, of stuff he might say. Like, it's very obvious analysis. This isn't a compliment, but he's probably above Jermaine Genius and Chris Sutton. But that's not saying much because the bar is low, literally. I think when it comes to Michael Owen as well, he's entertaining for all the wrong reasons because he's going to say something that you're so confused by as well. I don't know why this Mac is moving mad, but yeah, I'm going to put you in mute the TV. I'll probably just put you in mute the TV because you're below average, but you're not the worst, I'd say. I understand why people would put him in bottom tier, but look at the bottom tier pundits. That is a whole tier in itself, man. But we'll comment to a couple more pundits in there in a minute. Paul Scholes. I actually quite like him on the fun debates on the overlap. I think he obviously talks in a very monotone manner, but that's just the way he talks in it. I like him when he's very frustrated. He was very frustrated when it came to England. He posted the funniest stuff on his Instagram stories when he's just frustrated about football as well. He's quite. I don't understand what the fuck he's saying half the time because he does mumble a lot. But people can say that about me as well. I wouldn't choose him to have him on TV necessarily. I don't mind him though, so I'm going to put him in bang average because he's kind of just there as well. So it is what it is. He's definitely above Joe Cole, above Owen Hargreaves. I'm actually going to change a couple as well. I'm going to put Joe Cole in mute the TV and Alex Scott in mute the TV as well. Just quickly, I'll put Joe Cole over Michael Owen just because I've been thinking about it. Like Alex Scott, I wouldn't choose to have her, so I put her down. I wouldn't choose to have these three either, but I think they're slightly more respectable than these three. I think with Joe Cole, no offense, like if I'm taking my bias aside, he doesn't really offer much. Peter Crouch. If I'm putting my bias aside, that he's a former Tottenham and he's a Chelsea fan, he's okay. He's an okay pundit. Again, he doesn't stand out much in terms of the football analysis, but he's a great character to have on TNT. Probably one of the better TNT people. I'd say he's actually better than Joe Cole. I think him and Joe Cole actually work well together because they're mates. But I actually like his podcast. His podcast is actually decent as well. Got great humor, couple viral clips for good reason as well. Very funny. and can make a laugh out of pretty much anything. I'm gonna put him in bang average. It's been a while since we put someone in good, but um, I'll put you in bang average. Put you in bang average. Rio Ferdinand. Oh god. Do you know what it is with Rio Ferdinand? Yeah, I think if it was outside of football, I don't mind him because I watched Filthy Fellas. Yeah, he was really good on that. He was really good on that, and that's because like he knows poet already. But when it comes to football analysis, again, what is it with these Man United pundits? Yeah, they're just the most biased guys ever towards English players. Like I think all pundits are. Don't get me wrong. Like Michael Richards is very biased towards English players. So Jamie Carragher, Ian Wright as well, Alan Shearer. But even Alan Shearer was like more against like Southgate, criticizing the players a lot. Rio Ferdinand, I don't get him off. I don't get what game he's watching after that. When it goes to the analysis at half time, I don't get what game he's watching. Like when he says something, I'm like, "What? Did you watch the game?" That's the reaction I'm getting after time. He also is very weird towards West Ham fans, and I'm putting my bias in there. I have to because I'm a West Ham fan, and he was like, he's very out of touch with the club. For someone that claims to still respect West Ham a lot, he doesn't really. I think when it comes to West Ham and United, he has no feeling towards West Ham. And again, you won so many titles with Manchester United, but you came through as a West Ham player. You was a West Ham fan, and he claims to still respect West Ham and all that. But I don't think he does. I don't think he does. With the whole Moyes thing last year, I remember he did that whole speech at Sheffield United, away talking about what more do you want, and then we drew to Sheffield United. And then we didn't get any apology after that. That did not age well. Um, very biased, very very biased. I'm gonna have to put him in mute the TV. And I know a lot of people are gonna be like, "But what? Rio Ferdinand this and Rio Ferdinand that." Listen, he's probably the best centre back in the Premier League that I've seen. But no, we're not talking about him as a football player. We're talking about him as a pundit. Same way with Michael Owen and Joe Cole, they were both great players. But we're not talking about them as football players. Listen, I'm sure Chris Sutton was a good player. He wasn't not in my era, but we're not talking about him as a football player. Robbie Savage, I think we all know where you're going, mate. I don't really know. I don't want him to talk. I don't know why he was a commentator for the fucking Conference League final as well. I don't even like Don Hutchinson, but he should have. But Don Hutchinson should have been the only commentator, like co-commentator there. With I forgot the guy's name, the guy who does the Serie A games, but he was sick. He he just needed to shut the fuck up in that Conference League one. I don't want him on the TV. Like, luckily he's not on TV as much, but unfortunately he's on commentary quite a bit. I don't know whether he's been on commentary this year so far, but no one wants him on commentary, man. Uh, let's get into the most controversial pundit on the list, Graham Souness, obviously known for the sheer dislike for Paul Pogba. I know he said he doesn't dislike Paul Pogba, he expects a lot or whatever, but uh, half the time you don't really know what he's getting at. Half the time he's very biased, very confusing, not entertaining, um, poor analysis in my opinion, but not the worst out of the lot. I think he's better than all the other bang average people that are put on the list as well. Um, so yeah, bang average for me, bang average. Very controversial, but a bit of an agenda merchant. I think he's probably the biggest agenda merchant on the list. Steve McManaman, he's just there, bro. Steve McManaman's just there. I don't really have a problem with him. I know a lot of people have a problem with former Liverpool pundits because they feel like it's too many, especially on TNT Sports and stuff like that. But I don't really care. Because I don't have any. I don't even have an opinion towards Liverpool. I don't care. But where's Steve McManaman? And he's kind of just there, even as a commentator. He's there. He doesn't really offer much. But I wouldn't say mute the TV again if you're saying that accent wise. But he's kind of just there. Like he's not bad. Not bad. I'd say he's not bad. And that is my list so far. So far, that is just my list. So we put Michael Richards, Roy Keane, Jamie Carragher, Thierry Henry, and Gary Neville in best. Alan Shearer and Ian Wright in good. Steve McManaman, Graham Souness, Jamie Redknapp, Paul Scholes, Owen Hargreaves, and Peter Crouch in bang average. Mute the TV with Rio Ferdinand, Joe Cole, Alex Scott, and Michael Owen. With worst being Jermaine Genius, Chris Sutton, and Robbie Savage. If you guys did enjoy this video and you want me to do more tier list videos, leave a tier list idea in the comments, and I'll see if there is one, and I'll do one. I'm thinking of doing a couple more tier list videos. We'll see what we can upload towards the next week, but you guys are seeing this on a Tuesday as well. So, because I had nothing to upload on this day, but I'm recording this on a Monday. Make sure to like the video and subscribe if you are new. Social medias are in the description if you want to follow me. The email for the inquiries. But the road to 1K subscribers. It's GVO Mikes at Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok if you want to follow me as well. See you guys later. Take care. Goodbye.